right, so today we're going to look at a 1952 Royal Quiet Deluxe gray. So grab yourself a cup of coffee and let's take a look at this beauty. Sha-na-na-na-na-na-na, sha-na-na-na-na. Welcome everybody to this episode. We're looking at a 1952 Royal Quiet Deluxe. This is gray and it has the little winged accents there. This happens to be the ribbon reversal and then the color selector here. But very basic, very classic, and a good working typewriter. So let's dive in and let me show you how to use this. And if you've got yours nearby, grab it and walk through it with me. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is look for the serial number. And luckily on this Royal, they're pretty easy to find. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna need to move this carriage. And to do that, there's gonna be a lever right here and right here, and it doesn't matter which of those tabs you use, or you just press it in, pull your carriage to the right, and right here, you might want to use a handy dandy flashlight, but right there is your serial number. And so then you can just write that down, and you can go to typewriterdatabase.com and look up your manufacturer date. And this particular one starts with a prefix AG, happens to be in 1952, and that's very popular. The 50s is a very popular time for the Royal Quiet Deluxe typewriters. Okay, so let's go ahead and keep going. I am gonna flip this guy up like this, and I gotta hold on to him because I don't have my non-slip pad. But right here, you're gonna see these little kind of tabs, and you can press and drag them. That is actually your tab setting. And so you just press and drag where you would like to have some, your tabulator set, okay? Let me put this back down. This is your paper holder, very handy. I like to use mine, so I'm gonna keep it up because I'll put some paper in. This has magic margins. I don't know why they call them magic margins. They're actually harder to use than regular margins, or they have extra steps in my opinion. But, you know, I guess everybody has to come out with something new and fancy. There's your bell, by the way. So every typewriter has a bell that will ding when you get to the end of your margin, and your right margin anyway. And that's to let you know that you need to hit your return handle and go to the next line. Now right now I don't have any margins set, so it goes the full length of the carriage. But let's go ahead and set some. Luckily, when you're narrowing your margins, it's super, super easy. So just find a place where you want your right margin, hit your button, and there you go. Same thing with the left. Let's come in and we'll set it right here. There we go. You should hear a little sliding action, and that tells you that the margin is being set. Now, if for some reason your tab here does not work, you can flip open the top and you can manually set your margins by pressing and dragging, okay? Now, if you want to widen your margins, you have to have a little bit of an extra step in there. So you need to hold in the carriage. And by the way, the carriage has a drawband on it, so it's naturally going to pull to the left. And so you kind of have to hold on to the carriage when you release it. And then at the same time, press your margin down to clear that margin and move it out to the wider, and then release both of them at the same time, okay? So now my margin is out here. Same with this side. If I want to widen it, I release the carriage, press down on the margin at the same time, and then push out. And now my margins are wider again, but I want to bring them back in just because I do. Okay, so that is how you set your margins and move your carriage, and we talked about the bell. Also, when you hit that bell, the bell usually will go off 1 or 2, anywhere from 1 to 5 characters before you actually hit that margin. And some typewriters actually, when that bell goes off, that's it. It just stops. So the carriage will and should stop on you, and also the typing action. And so to release that, then you have a lever down here called margin release, and it says MAR, R-E-L. That's your margin release, and I'll show that to you here in just a moment. Before I do that, now that my carriage is over to the right, let's open up this top, and you do so. I just always grab right here in the middle, and you just kind of yank up. Now, that is for the 1952 Royal. If you happen to have a different year, then your Royal logo, the insignia right here, will be a release lever, and you need to push that rather than pull it. So that, anyway, that's not for this video. Okay, inside, you're gonna see your spools. This is your type basket. Some call it the escapement area. And for those of you who are really particular, the escapement is actually underneath. But this video is really for those of you who need to learn how to use your typewriter. So these are your type bars. Touch control. This determines how hard your type bars are striking your paper. Now, please keep in mind that your older, these vintage typewriters, a lot of times the platens do get hard over time, and they tend to, when the type bars strike the paper, will cause impressions, maybe type through. It's a sign that the platen needs to be repaired or replaced. That is not as easy as it sounds. That is not something we do. And you will pay a considerable amount of money to have somebody do that for you. But what you can do is put in like 2 papers. You can lessen how hard those type bars strike your paper, and you can also adjust the tension with your fingers. Also, the spools that is used in a 1952 Royal Quiet Deluxe are universal ribbon spools. That means they're a 2-inch diameter spool, 2 inches, and they have a 1/2 inch ribbon. All right, and those are really common. You can find them just about anywhere. You can get all kinds of colors. Most typewriters have a 2-color ability. This one does as well. So you've got your black and your red, which is standard, but there are other options out there if you want them. We carry the standard black and red ribbons on our website at jotandtittletypewriters.com when you need a new ribbon. Now, if your typewriter happens to have the original spools and you really want to keep your original spools, then we do have an option for you to send us your spools, and we will wind fresh ribbon on it. And if you just visit the links in the description below, you will find a link to that. Okay, so when you change out your ribbon, it's messy. And just be aware and have a little towel nearby and don't touch anything. But you just pull it out. It's super easy to pull out. And you'll notice that ribbon is threaded through several guide wires. There's one here, over here, and then in the middle. And without you, you won't be able to see how I thread it because my hands will be in the way. But what I've done is taken an up-close photo of this. And again, if you go to the product listing link in the description below, then you can take a look at the photos for this typewriter. And there's an up-close photo in there, which you can screenshot or save for your reference, so you can kind of see how to thread your ribbon. Now keep in mind, black is on top, red is on bottom. When you put your spool in, that ribbon needs to go up and around the back side of the ribbon, not in front and around the bottom. So top and behind, okay? And then when you put in your spool, you have two little nibs sticking up. The big one goes in the middle, and then there's a little one that needs to drop down into one of those 4 holes so that it will turn your spool for you. So you might need to do a little bit of jimmying. There you go, and that pops down in there. And then you'll need to make sure that your ribbon is properly threaded. Now, if you're buying a typewriter, then when you get it, the first thing you need to do before you type on it, I know you all want to type on it, is make sure the ribbon in shipping, a lot of times in shipping, they'll pop out and come undone. Make sure that ribbon is threaded properly. And then sometimes the ribbon reversal will get knocked around. So you just got to make sure that's going in the right direction. In this case, it's not. I'm already at the end of my spool and it's going that way. So I need to reverse the direction of my ribbon so that it's going the correct direction, okay? So also when you're typing, if you don't have a ribbon that auto reverses, which means it's a ribbon that has a little grommet on it, then you'll have to manually reverse your ribbon. And you need to be aware when you're typing, as soon as it feels differently or you notice that the font is getting faint, always stop and check the reversal direction of your ribbon and check your color selector, because if you happen to have your selector on the white, that's the stencil selection. It is not going to type properly, and so you probably never ever will need to use that white selector. So always make sure it's on the black or the red. Okay, let me show you how to load a piece of paper. So you just set your paper right here. No need to shove it down. Turn the handle. You come around. Make sure that paper goes underneath the bar. I like to come up, make sure it's nice and even, which it is. Yay. And if it's not, well, then you have this paper release right here, and then you can adjust that paper for you. Also, when it's time to take your paper out, then you can pull that paper release forward and pull the paper out. Just make sure you re-engage it. On the left side, you'll see a 1, 2, and 3. This happens to be the return handle. So a single space, double space, triple. All right, and then this kind of releases that platen. That can come in handy when if you turn the handle, you hear it clicking every half of a line. And sometimes you just want it to line up a little bit different, and so you can just pull that forward and adjust that. There's also a little button on the left side that's for the same thing. This actually, for those of you, you actually don't need it for anything else. This actually does release the platen. So always make sure that's engaged, because you don't need to be taking your platen out. All right. Now that we've got this in here, let me show you the margin release. So we'll do a little bit of typing here. I come down, and let's say you're typing away, and backspace does not erase, but I made a mistake and I'm going to type over it. There's that bell. So that bell is saying, look, you need to hit your return handle, which I'm going to keep going instead of hitting return handle to the end. Well, now it's not going to let me. So margin release. And then you can finish your thought or your word and then hit your return handle. So, and then here's your tabs, your tabulator. Again, you set that in the back, return handle, you have your space bar. Again, backspace does not erase. you just type over, or some people think that's not really cool. So if you make a mistake, I guess some people just want you to X through it all the way and redo it however you want to do it. So for me, if it's close enough, I type over it. If it's really hard to read, then I'll X through it and retype the word. So that is how you use a Royal Quiet Deluxe, plus a little extra things in there for you. I hope you found this helpful. Please give me a thumbs up, turn on those notifications. By the way, every Saturday we come out with new typewriter listings, and I will announce those on YouTube. You're the first to know. Thanks so much for watching, and happy typing.